definition of being a film critic or film reviewer? Or are they the same thing?
Sure, I'm very happy with what I have right now. But I'll be lying if I said that I was aiming for this.
And to be thick-skinned on social media and sensitive while you're watching movies, it's not going to happen. It's going to overlap and you're going to get mind-fucked.
I really want to do what you guys do at Film Companion, where you just watch a couple of movies in a day and you chill for the rest of it. How do I get paid for it? And I was like, well...
anyone I say do not try this at home. It's not possible. It's very dangerous. You have no backup.
Do you get tired of movies?
I'm absolutely sick of movies right now.
Idea of you can say it's terribly written, you can say I'm wrong, you can say I didn't get it, but you can't deny that this is my truth. I think that's pretty cool.
A sort of field of passion that we all pursue. We all have left something or the other to get into writing.
Our superhero movies cinema.
I grew up with superhero movies, which is why I don't get the MCU, DCU hype.
You're following your passion, but passion takes over everything else.
To be a film critic, you have to love movies, you have to love writing, and most of all, you have to love writing about movies.
I don't like, man, when you guys take pause. I'm like, shit.
Then don't ask questions like that.
Hello guys, I'm Nona and welcome to the podcast. This time we didn't have 1, 2, but 3 guests, which were Vishal Menon, Rahul Desai and Suchin Mehrotra. I'm sure you know all 3 of them. They are renowned film critics and film journalists, and they were very generous with their time, providing insights about what goes behind a career in film criticism and film journalism. And I hope this session is useful to anyone out there who wants to get into this field. It's a long one, so sit back, relax and enjoy. And by the end of it, if you find value, do consider hitting the like button, share this video, let us know your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Now you can also listen to all the podcasts on Spotify. The links are in the description. So let's start. So is your connection good, because you're breaking up for us?
I think
Vishal, your internet is a little...
So Suchin, how was the day?
It is good. I'm here to learn about film criticism, so I'm having a good day. I'm not even joking. It's like you were saying, because everyone works together. You never get to do this, and you genuinely wish you just could sometimes. Just pull someone up and be like, give me masterclass, please.
You finished watching Ray?
No, haven't even started, but I've heard great things. Only good things have been said.
I love the titles for Rahul's articles.
The headlines.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can comment as long as you just call me Rahul from now on.
Ah, cool. Yeah.
Suchin, are you older than 23?
I am. I behave like a 14-year-old, but I'm 27, unfortunately. Or 28. Shit. No, I'm 28. I'm actually 28.
Wow, nice.
So have you ever seen a Shah Rukh movie in the theatre, Suchin? Or are you like the new generation?
Shah Rukh is... No, I know which one that is. No, I have. As a kid, yeah. Yeah. A bunch as a kid. As in the 90s Shah Rukh movies. That's my definition of Shah Rukh. So yeah, just at the end of his supreme reign.
I've been told my first movie in theatre was Gadar,
in
which I slept.
You've been told?
Yeah. I was like a year old, I think. A year or 2. It came out in 2000, right?
2001.
2001.
Yeah, 2003.
Okay.
2. I was 2, yeah. So I've been told I slept.
I think I remember the popcorn when I watched Gadar or something, and you're like, I was just born. Yeah.
Come on, we were just doing like a 20-year thing of Lagan, and everyone was talking about Gadar, and I think I have very distinct memories of Gadar, which says a lot about my age. So.
They kept chasing us. They kept chasing us for a reunion interview, and I asked them. I was like, I'll get back to you.
Nice.
I think first of all, big fan of all 3 of you. Thank you for giving your time for this. Really appreciate it. And I think the first...
I second that. I'm a big fan of all 2 of you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I thought 3.
Good,
okay,
come on.
all right.
No. I'm in full film critic mode, so I'm like, no, this is so cool. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, you video guys aren't supposed to be so athletic.
But I want to start with what is a film reviewer? What is a film critic? Like, what is your personal definition about it?
Who would like to go? I
think the most senior person can take it.
There's no such thing as senior.
No, I think the terms don't matter. I think you can call it whatever you want. Eventually, I'm in a really, really screwed up state of mind to be answering this question, because I've been asking this myself so much in the last 6 months, right? And in my case, the more serious we take it, at a time like this, the more seriously we think about film critiquing and film reviewing and all that, you think shit, dude, what kind of job is this? You have to be so ultra privileged to call this your job, and then to take yourself so seriously while doing it, right? because like you see, like honestly, I don't mean this in any derogatory term, but like a person who like who works as a watchman in a hospital is so much more valuable in today's like world than we are. So I guess I think all of us have to kind of accept that it's incredible amount of privilege, because even like I mean we're all at a stage where like money is way more important than what it used to be. You have to kind of take care of other people, so and all that, and take a route just because you're passionate, is a little like it becomes a little complicated after a certain age. So as a job, of course, it's very beautiful, because I mean you are respecting cinema as an art form, right? You've taken your time out. You have watched all those movies. You have studied cinema to the point where you're taking it seriously, and you're not looking at it as just one money making machine, because that's kind of the difference between like us and people who like review like mixies and grinders, right? Because it's not just that. It's not about talking about an appliance. It's not about telling you if it works or doesn't work, but like why does it work or why doesn't it work? And especially we talk about people like Rahul and all that, he puts so much of himself out there, right? That's a damn difficult, damn complicated war that you're fighting with yourself, because it takes a lot of balls to kind of be able to do that. So all this put together is somehow what like film criticism is right now, because I think we are at one stage where there are a lot of critics, all of them who found their voices and stuff like that at a really difficult time, and it's all because they're putting themselves out there. It's not just we're not like walking Wikipedia pages. So it's not about knowledge. It's about how that knowledge is being used and how it's being tried to communicate that with so many other people. So you're finally at a time where people value cinema more than just entertainment. So I guess that's where we're at. But the last 1 year, if you ask me, I really don't know. Like I'm really confused. I'm really mindfucked. So I'm not the person you should be talking to.
No, as Vishal very rightly gave perspective to what we do, I think it's the best and worst time to be a film critic right now. Obviously, because of the last year or so, I think that most of us still have a job, or what we are doing is basically watching movies for a living, right?
Yeah.
But what we think about those movies comes second. That's where our profession lies. So obviously, in that context, in the context of life, we are really privileged right now to still, first of all, do what we are doing, and still, secondly, be able to sort of earn a living out of it. I might say at a level of just professions in general as a larger sort of field of passion that we all pursue. We all have left something or the other to get into writing. Apparently, that's the only way to become a writer these days, if you leave something. So I think in context of only writing, I feel like film criticism is still a very tough thing to do. It's still not as, I wouldn't say prestigious, but it's still looked down upon compared to a lot of other things. Like people think film criticism still is a stepping stone to other things, like writing a book or making a film or something. Like whenever someone hears that I'm a film critic, is like, okay, so when are you going to make a film? I was like, but that really doesn't mean that I'm on my way there or anything. This is literally what I want to do. I want to be really good at this, and the older I get, hopefully the better I get, because I believe with experience I can get better at film criticism and art criticism in general. Sure, you'll keep watching movies, you'll keep your point of view will keep getting evolved over time. You'll write better over time. I'm a better writer today than I was 1 year ago, 2 years ago. So that will keep happening. Those technicalities, if you want to improve, will keep happening. But the more you experience life, the more you'll sort of really be better at this particular thing. So I feel like those who are still doing it right now are still also resilient people. Like it's not on one side, there's the entire pandemic thing going on that's really putting us into sort of an existentialist sort of state of mind most of the time. And I will admit, last year I felt like, what is the point of putting our writing about movies or series out there? Yeah. That is why I think even over the last year, sort of subconsciously started putting myself a little more out there through my reviews or through my columns, because I didn't know any other way to express myself, or I think most of us don't really, because it's not like we have a more direct medium. So I feel like that happened automatically, where I've just changed the perspective of how I look at my profession, and because of that, I'm actually sort of happy we wrote that out. And there are going to be tough times ahead, and it's going to probably get worse for And journalism in general is on shaky ground. It's always been, and that's the whole point. The fact that some of us still manage to be like do particular things in our profession, like either film criticism or or feature writing or anything for that matter, is I still feel like it's a difficult thing to do, and to remind myself that in the larger scheme of things, what we're doing is really doesn't matter. But for us, I don't think there's anything we know how else, what else to do. So we have no choice but to take it seriously in the best way we can. But again, having said that, last 1 year has been tougher for a lot of us than ever before, because our craft, our skill is an art of your mind. Sort of, you're really putting your mind to paper most of the time, and the mind, as you know, has not been in it for a while, and it's only human.
Yeah,
we've been tested a lot over the last year, and I feel like that whole definition of film reviewing and film criticism, that it's an informed opinion from people who actually sort of are one rung, say, above just cinephilia, pure cinephilia or pure fandom, just sort of developing a voice or an informed opinion. I'd say that definition also has evolved in the last 1.5 years, since January 2020, because I think a lot of us have found different ways to put ourselves out there. So yeah, more or less that is what I'd say where we are right now.
All right, Suchin?
I'd say a couple of things. Yeah, in terms of what value this has right now, that's a whole other crisis. Apart from disappointing my dad, I don't know what this achieves in the larger scheme of things. But I'm obviously definitely not a film critic. I'm a film journalist who reviews. Sometimes these two are, by every definition, what you'd call a critic. And also, I would say I definitely do make a distinction between film reviewing and film criticism. I think now more than ever. I remember, I think a few years ago, Anu used to talk about how there is a distinction. Like, reviewers are like Vishal, what he was saying about, that mixy grinder. People who, for them, it's more about the good and bad. It's not about going into the depth. Whereas, and especially now more than ever, when you have the internet and YouTube and blogs, that whole democratization thing, I think that it's never been more important, even for me as a movie fan, to separate what those two things are. People who will tweet about movies and, do some stuff on YouTube and etc. versus people who really are out there, have the background, have the knowledge, give you the insight, watch everything. And it, when you are reading a film review from a critic, it gives you so much more as a piece of writing, as about the film, about the context and everything. So yeah, I also, to Rahul's point about being one rung above a cinephile, sometimes I feel like there's always that one person who has more movie knowledge than you, so you're not going to win that battle. So it's a very specific thing of, it's about being a writer it's about your response and, justifying it with the why. It's about watching everything. There are so many people who they watch what they love, and that, for them that's enough, but you don't realize just the amount of stamina that goes into watching everything to really get that expansive view of, film, apart from just the specifics. And so, yeah, there'll always be people who you might think is a better writer, who might have more film knowledge, but in terms of just doing the grind every day, watching as much as you can, constantly evolving your knowledge and trying to hate yourself and become the best writer you can be, that sort of very specific combination of things is what I would consider it as.
I think definitely COVID has a big impact, and I think it has become like this, right? Before COVID and after COVID, life is so drastically different, of course. But I would like to go back in time, and my question would be, what is the first movie, not the first movie you watched, but the first movie that changed how you looked at movies? I think, for example, for me, and it can be multiple movies. For me, it was, I think, 3 Idiots. When I watched it in the theater, and when the movie ended, I was like, why it ended? I want to stay here forever. And then I understood the value of cinemas, watching movie in a theater, when I watched Bahubali 2. I had watched Bahubali 1 on my phone, the pirated one, that also. And then I watched Bahubali, and I used to make fun of people who used to go to theaters to watch movies multiple times. I'm like, you didn't get the movie in the first time, why are you wasting money? And I went, I think with 4-5 times I went for Bahubali 2. And I realized what a big screen, experience can give you. And I think, and after that, as I've watched more movies, it kept evolving. So what about you guys? What was that movie that changed things, how you look at it? Oh, that
Like
was
in
a hard
terms of
one.
like, cinema itself is like
a
a
tough one.
damn big deal.
Yeah, basically,
Did you mean like, okay, cinema itself as a medium is more important than other things in life, or is cinema so important that it should be a big part of my life? Like,
your personal experience of, like, I'll assume, I cannot imagine doing what I do today, like even 3 years, 4 years back. So I'm like which is that movie, you watch movies for entertainment, that's how it began. For me, I used to like visit 4 or 5 times in a year to watch a movie in a theater. It was a occasion. Oh, my birthday, let's go watch a movie. That's it. So when did that change? Your look at movies, that changed. That it's
The movie
not
that
just
made you-
entertainment. Yeah.
The
It's
movie
not
that
just
made
time
you
pass.
realize that movies are a bigger deal to you.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
can't name one movie like
Tough
that, but
one.
I remember everything from the day I watched Jurassic Park. The smell in the theater. I remember the sounds. I remember everything. I must have been 4, maybe 3 or 4. I don't know. And I remember everything from that film. So and the tiffin box was Jurassic Park. I had Jurassic Park T-shirts. I was obsessed with it. And so Steven Spielberg is like, for me, like no one can be bigger than Steven Spielberg. E.T. and Jurassic Park, and these films are like a part of something very deep in me. But I think in terms of movies in general, I'm like basically, see, both my parents are working, and both my parents that was 7 or 8 in the morning, right? 7 in the morning, and my parents would only get back home at about 9 at night, 8:30, 9 at night. And even though there was a lady who used to kind of look after me, I was pretty much, the house was empty. It was just me. So I would come back from school, and it's just me and my TV till about 9 o'clock. And there's no supervision. I can watch whatever I want to watch. My parents would work on Sundays. So it's basically just me and movies. So my value system, my ethics, my respect, everything has been conditioned by movies. So you kind of like, when you see these kids who kind of looking at the phone and eating and stuff like that, they'll grow up to be somebody like me. So you better take phones away from those kids, because I have all those problems, all those issues. I haven't gone to sleep without some dialogue playing in the background in almost 13, 14 years. So that's how I kind of grew up on movies and TV shows and all that. So it's like there's nothing else. I mean, for me, a holiday is to watch a funny movie in a nice cold place. For me, a horrible day is also like, maybe like I had a fucked up day, then watching something light and crying myself to sleep. So there's nothing else. Really nothing else. It's just empty. Like no gardening, no cooking, no cricket, nothing. It's just like watching something.
When I mean, more or less, if you're growing up in the 90s, obviously, the cinema hall is a huge deal. Like it's not like today where you have a choice to watch it somewhere else or anything. So I mean, I sort of feel sorry for the generation today where you actually be like, chalo laptop pe dekhte hai or phone pe dekhte hai and all, because back then it wasn't just the social outing, right? For me, very early on, I think like when I was like 7 or 8 or something, I knew that my father was a big thing sort of person, and he used to like sort of very consciously go out of his way to inculcate in me, first of all, the love for reading, which he failed to do. I've not read a complete book for the longest time. So that he failed to do. But what he did succeed in doing is sort of getting me to love music and movies. And movies is because we used to go pretty much every other weekend to watch like a movie to the theater. And because of that, I'd say there wasn't one particular movie. But as Vishal said, Jurassic Park was a huge influence on all of us, I think, because for a lot of us, it was the first Western movie that we really watched in Indian theaters and really got blown by. Like that was for us our childhood, in short, right? Like that was where a lot of things, our entire perspective of movies changed. Forget movie watching came much later in life, and I can't even pinpoint when. But I think through our childhood, like the way you sort of grow up, like for example, he was at home and watching movies whole day when his parents were working. I'd say for me it was like my father was sort of sick of work by the end of the day, so he just dragged me to a movie.
Yeah.
Of the day, and that sort of stuck, because a lot of other families used to be going every Sunday to watch the latest Surat Bajate or Rajshri production movie, make a whole like family outing out of it, like 50 Marwadi people just going with their tiffins and with their damn water bottles, and then they're spoiling it for the rest of the kids in the society for the next 2 weeks. But me and my dad used to literally go like just to watch anything. Like we used to watch Shah Rukh's worst movies, Amir's worst movies. We used to watch movies that have people haven't heard of. I remember in the middle of my board exams, my dad took me to watch Vertical Limit. Out of all the things, like in a multiplex. So multiplexes were very new then. It was the first year or something. And he was like, since you're so tense, and I think the best way to sort of, get rid of it is to go watch an exciting movie. And for me, that is my most vivid movie watching experience, because first of all, I was very tense because of the board exams. Then that gets heightened because you're watching a damn movie that is based on a mountain where everyone is dying almost every like 5 or 10 minutes. And for me, that was the ultimate peak of sort of cinema watching experience, because of, so many peripheral factors around. So I guess, I was lucky that one of my parents really sort of, liked to use movies as a certain escape. And for me, somewhere along the way, that escape became a way of life when I shifted to Bombay and, started going to college. Because even in college, when we had to bunk our lectures, we'd go to the nearest theater. I hadn't started drinking then, so we never used to go to the bar as such. We went to the nearest theater. It was hot. I used to watch things like Harry Potter, which I don't even watch, but I just like to be in the movie hall because the smell was nice. It was just comforting. It reminded you of like a time gone by, and also. I don't think there's one particular moment, because it's really an accumulation of your childhood, like sort of resulting in something more major later. Like all of us, I'm sure, can't even pinpoint when we decided to take it up as a profession, because it just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
That certain things fall into place, your mind sort of clicks, and you decide to do something. So yeah, maybe in the movies itself, there's a moment for a protagonist or a hero where he decides like everything is good, but I think for us it's a little more vague.
Sachin?
No, yeah, mine is the same. I wish there was like one specific movie that changed everything, but you just remember like a series of bullet points. But no, I mean, it's a lot like Vishal, where, a lot of people who do this, you're the kid who never went to play outside kind of thing. You're the one you were too close to the TV screen and your parents would get annoyed at you and stuff. That's literally the stereotype. I just remember a couple of like small movies that were significant in different ways. I remember when I was a kid, I was with my friends, and I remember we went to watch 51st Dates, which is that Adam Sandler rom-com. And that's the first time I remember the habit of watching multiple movies back to back. It's one of those movies where it sort of makes you fall in love with the idea of going to the movies. I remember watching Ek Mein Aur Ek Tu, which was 2012, and it was one of the first times where I felt like I saw something in this movie nobody else saw. Not nobody else, but the people you were with, Everyone passed it off as a rom-com. I was like, no, there's more going on here. And then that makes you feel like, okay, maybe there's something going on. Even with Tamasha, I think that's one of the first times where I felt like I had a very, very personal experience with the movie, which also kind of feels sad because you feel the people around you would never feel what you feel. But it's almost like you can completely see why other people might not connect with this film, because it's very specific, but you have a very personal experience with the movie, and that sort of stays with you. This is very random, but I remember I was attending a film festival, and it's the most depressing week of your life. It's just basically all these heavy films there were some really, really tough films. And it was Friday, and Kapoor and Sons was releasing, and I just did not want to watch another movie. And I fell in love with that movie, and it makes you realize that all it takes is one movie to just change your day, your week, whatever it is. And the first movie I ever wrote about, I have no idea why. I wanted to write about it because I was obviously reading a lot of reviews, and I just felt like I want to write something, is Heather, where I was like, I don't know why, I just wrote a review just for myself. So it's just a lot of smaller bullet points. I also want to hijack this. I'm never going to get invited back, but ask the next question if I'm allowed to. Do you guys think film criticism is its own art form? Like writing is considered an art form, filmmaking is an art form, but do you consider film criticism its own standalone art form? For all three of you guys.
I need to it's very stressful and distressing when you kind of have to explain this particular concept to so many people, but they don't understand. See, we can get it wrong, not be good enough to read certain movies, but whoever kind of reads your work, they have to understand that we are not lying, and that's the bare minimum that you want them to accept. That okay, this is honestly, genuinely how I reacted. I felt like while I watched this movie. That's the bare minimum we want people to accept, and that's my truth. This has been my journey. I watched this film, and this is what I felt, and that's my truth. Like I'm not lying. I'm not saying anything sweeter because I'm going to make more money, or nor am I going to lie because, oh, I think I'm going to lose an interview with this guy the next. So at least in that, I just want people to accept it as just that, I won't lie about this. This is what I feel about this movie, and that in its own way, it's truth, right? To some extent. If I might fail to kind of explain myself in certain reviews, I might not have had the time, or I might have been a little confused in the whole process. But this is my truth. Things that I won't do because I don't have it's like a thing, right? It's like an instinct. You kind of mess with it a bit, mess with it a little bit. It stops working. You get it? Because what you're feeling when you're watching a movie, you start to like trick yourself by saying, "No, that's not what it is. You didn't like this because of this, or you didn't like this because of something else." It just stop working. It's like it's not foolproof. So the only thing you can really be is try to be like truthful and honest, and then hope people kind of accept that.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of see it.
I love that idea of like, you can say it's terribly written, you can say I'm wrong, you can say I didn't get it, but you can't deny that this is my truth. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And yeah, for me, I mean, personally, it is its own art form. The tragedy is that it's not like that for like most of this country, or it's not looked at, say it would be looked at elsewhere, in sort of the first world countries, so to say, because a lot of people, like if you talk to, like only if you interact, like if you interact with the foreign journalists or say foreign film critics or from the West, or even from Europe for that matter, if you ask them what you do for a living, they can just say I'm a film critic, and it's understood, right? Like that's it. You don't need to explain yourself after that. And I'm asked even today, I'm bloody 9 or 10 years into the profession. If I'm still asked what I do, film critic is not enough. Like I have to then, film critic starts as an apology almost. Okay, when you say it, the tone sort of just takes an apology, and then you start explaining if there is more to it than people think, or if you're a larger writer, so to say, are you a journalist also? Are you so many things, right? Like you can't just say that you're a film critic, and that's a cultural problem. That's not like a quick fix thing that you can get rid of overnight. And I think a lot of us who do this seriously day in and day out actually treat it as an art without really realizing it. The thing is to give yourself enough credit at the end of the day, saying that okay, what you're doing, maybe it may not be like important to a lot of people around you. In the larger scheme of things, in someone's day, it might not it might not really change their day, but what you're doing is actually creating something out of nothing too. And that for me is the definition of art. It doesn't, okay, sure, you're watching something, you're writing your thoughts about it, or you're writing your particular opinion about it, and which your truth about it, as Vishal said. And for me, just creating something amounts to art. It doesn't matter what it can be, what it should be also. And sure, you watched it, it's derivative. It's a derivative art. You watched it, watch something and you're creating something. Sure, it's not original, so to say, but your truth is original. Your words are original. Your craft is original. A lot of people can't do what you do. And I think a lot of us like may not believe it at the beginning of our career, saying, ye to koi bhi kar sakta hai, because there's no real course for it. There's no education for it. It's just you and the movies in front of you and your thoughts. And so it's very easy to, sort of believe that, okay, we wouldn't exist if the film industry doesn't exist, which is absolutely true. But like what you do, you have to keep convincing yourself every Friday when your review comes out that nobody else can do this. And if you sort of get into that zone, even for a couple of weeks, a year, and all, I think you'd start telling yourself that this that sure you'll never. It sounds too corny to say, okay, we are artists too, but it is good enough to tell yourself that I think what we are doing is also something essential to the universe of art in this country, and I think that's as good or as bad as it gets. I don't think there's a upper or lower limit after that, and I'd like to besselieve that. And over time, if we ever reach that stage where film criticism sort of reaches that sense of essentiality or importance in someone's mind, well and good. But yeah, sure, we are a long way away from that. I'm in no denial about it.
I think for me, I think if a person can understand that a film is not just good or bad or 5 stars, I think once they understand it's, I love giving food metaphors. It's not like a single dish. It's not even a cuisine. It's a buffet, and you cannot rate a whole buffet. Oh, it's just 5 stars, or it is good, or it is bad. No, it has so many things, right? There's so much to it that you cannot just term it a single thing and just leave. So you like that dish, you didn't like, okay, but that dish was nice. Oh, that was nice. I want to see how that is done. So I think that's what it is for me, at least. I don't know if that makes sense.
No. I always see this. Every film is a conversation. Like it has to be. Like it's very easy to like put it in 5 adjectives, but every film has to be a conversation. Or this is stupid, but I always used to try and think of it as like a movie is like a person. Like you can put them in whatever category and judge them, but they're very distinctive entities. Even there's always going to be something different or unique about that one.
All right.
Sorry, I'm done hijacking. Please take over.
No, it's all right. So, do you all remember your 10th standard board exams? I hope you do.
Question I did not expect in this.
So I want to know, what was that 10th standard Vishal, Rahul, Suchin thinking? What is coming in future? What do I want to do? Everyone have their wishes. I think cricketer is a very common thing in India. But what was that guy giving 10th exam was thinking about
this
life?
Is about to get emotional.
Long pause.
I think if I talk about myself, 10th standard, like I was an idiot. Like when I think
that's your headline.
Who I was in the 10th standard and all that, because in 10th standard I knew I wanted to take commerce in 11th and 12th. In 11th and 12th I knew I wanted to I want to do well in my exams, and then I want to get into Symbiosis or Symbi, and then I want to go do get into a good MBA college. For me, when my life got really fucked up was when I got into Symbi and I realized, what the fuck is this? Like, this is not at all what I want. You get it? And it's 3 years of realizing that I'm stuck in one place, as in the college and the canteen and all, the girls, everything, all that is damn good. I'm not complaining about any of that. But as a course, I feel like I do, I got really screwed, and it's like you start blaming yourself because this is what I wanted, and you get what you want, and then it kind of screwed me up, So I had all this time, and I needed to kind of prove to my parents that I'm taking it seriously. When I look back at it, I had no any kind of guidance. I didn't know what I needed to do about my life. There was not even, honestly, we didn't even have movies like Tamasha then. We didn't even have enough movies to kind of tell you, bro, follow your dream. There's nothing like that. Like follow it to get into IIT. That's the only thing that's all like, So I was like an idiot. Like that's the only thing I can from 2005 or 6 or whatever. You must have been 3, Nona, so I don't think you remember.
No, 2005 I was 7.
Wow.
What about you guys?
I mean, I sort of, as I said, I watched Vertical Limit during the 10th standard board exam. But
did it help in the paper?
I mean, yeah, sure. Like nothing was going to change. Nothing like, it's not like you can study overnight and become a genius. But I mean, there are no two ways about it. What did we know back then? Like we weren't like better or worse than anyone. Our ambitions were based on others' ambitions. Our sense of right and wrong was based on like our parents' sense of right and wrong. So my ambition back then in 10th standard was to basically first of all get past the board exam, do like well enough to remain in a good school, and I didn't even know I was going to move to Bombay 2 years later or whatever it was. I didn't know my life was going to change. Back then, like the chart was like you will sort of get past 12th. Sort of study for CAT, give your CAT, try to do an MBA, get into IIM because my dad was from IIM Ahmedabad. So huge pressure as like so for me that was the gold standard of like, academics. So everyone, whoever used to meet me, or like at least my relatives, be like, when are you going to join IIM? Like you can pay fees and join. Something like that.
Oh, that's relatable.
For like 5 or 6 years, I was just asked that question. So I convinced myself this is maybe what I'm destined to do. So through my college, so I took those 3 years in Xavier's Bombay as a nice little break for myself, and I lied to my parents saying I love what I'm doing. Statistics is what I'm meant to do. I did a BSc in statistics. Honestly, it was the only thing that did not require me to get into a laboratory, and I hated laboratories that much. I knew. So I was like, this is the only BSc degree that I think I can do and have fun at the same time, or make friends, or sort of see the city. So I got away with that. But then once the CAT exam started, the CAT preparation started, I realized very soon, and as you know, there were no movies then telling you that follow your passion. So I didn't know what my passion was. My passion in 10th standard was to become a cricketer, but very soon that changed because you know, the sort of I mean, first of all, I was sort of uprooted from Ahmedabad overnight because of the riots, and secondly, you know, there was no IPL then, so no parent wanted their kid to become a cricketer. Like, it was no stable profession. Right now, a lot of parents are dying for that, but back then nobody knew anything, and I'd say I was pretty good also, but just my parents didn't take me seriously. So that's all your thoughts are sort of. I mean, that's all you can know at that point of time back then, because this was 2002 or something, and it was just so long back, and whole of India changed in the next 2 years. So you can only imagine how every person changed from year to year. So yeah, like after that whole MBA thing went to the dogs, you realize after giving the CAT exam that, you know, you're a Ranbir Kapoor character either way. Like, you're never going to be happy at what you do, and movies for me were, you know, just an escape. But we'll come to that later.
Okay. Suchin?
I think for me, yeah, I mean, I had no idea about what I wanted to do. I think it was 2008 boards. I was in Bangalore, but at that point, your life is just this one thing, right? So you don't want to suck. I don't think I was a great student at that point. Your biggest stress is just studying and all that stuff. And at that point, yeah, I really didn't care much about academics. I remember watching Three Idiots 1 year later in 2009 in the theater, thinking, I really need to go home and study. You know, studying in school, you have to work hard. It didn't last. Like 2 hours later, you don't give a shit. But I get really jealous of people who figured, like, either it's normally college. I think that's what it happens for people who figured what they're passionate about. And for me, it was much later. Like, I just did what you were supposed to do. So, you know, you did this, and then you go to uni, and I studied economics because that's what you're supposed to do. Then it's only after, while I was working, I was like, then you realize this movie thing is, I think there's more to this. I think I have a stronger thing here. But I get so jealous when I hear people who discover their love of cinema at the age of 17 or 18. They were part of that film school. They were exposed to world cinema, and then you just miss all the time you could have had to, even whether it's be a better writer or watch more stuff. So I really feel sometimes that I started later, or even just like study movies, which I think there are pros and cons to. But yeah, I get really, anyone who talks about they did a liberal arts degree, which sounds pointless, but all these insane writing exercises, and you're like, if that was my education, like, just imagine. So I always get jealous of that stuff. Yeah. But for me, all the movie stuff happened later. I loved them, but I only realized consciously that there might be something more to this, literally, when I started working.
I think listening to all of you, I feel kind of lucky, because once my father wanted to do something, but his father forced him, so he couldn't do it. So, you know, he always wanted me and my sister to do whatever we like. And I used to love drawing back in the childhood. So, you know, he was all like, okay, I'll send you the NID, you know, you do that. But of course, I didn't. I was like, no, IIT. And I was like, no, I'll do IIT. And I got into coaching, and that was my worst 1 year. And I was like, yeah, that's not me. And I don't know how it happened. You know, now it's really difficult to point out. But that's what I'm coming to, that I got into that. Oh, I like films. I want to make films. And there was availability of a course for me to, you know, go learn filmmaking and learn about films. Like I did a graduation in that. And everything I do today, all the, you know, the things I talk about movies is all because of that, you know. But none of you got that. So I want to know how you all three, maybe you did, I don't know, but how did you reach today, like this point that you can talk about movies like this?
So I was going to say, you should write something for TVF. You did the whole IIT coaching thing, right? That's that.
No, you know, funny thing. My father told me, I didn't tell my father I wanted to do this, and because I had paid for that whole Akash thing. I was like, okay, I'll do this. And he told me, I told my sister, I don't want to do engineering and to go into this college and all. And she told my father, and my father told me, see, he came to my room, see, you clear IIT. And whatever you say, I'll do, you know, because I've paid for it. You spend that time, it should be worth it. And I had no clue what I passed. The cutoff was 100, I scored 101. And that time, and before the result came, we already, you know, like I was going to the film college. And the moment I passed, everyone was calling, oh, IIT, nice, when is the exam? Prepare for it. First person to go at IIT from our family. I was like, how can you even say that? You know, I already got into the college. So yeah, that was, but I still got into the college, and yeah, that's history.
So what do you think? How do you get to this point?
Yeah. Did you do a course or something, or what happened in life that you reached here? Because none of you planned it, right?
Vishal, give wisdom.
No, I think my journeys are pretty as straightforward as it can be, I think. Like, because I went to ACJ, I studied journalism. It wasn't my first choice or anything like that. It's like something I had to do because I did have a phase where I wanted to movies as in making movies or at least writing movies. That is like one of the worst years of my family completely becoming different people when you come and say these kind of dreams, right? By then I'd already like made a lot of short films, like with the whatever basic camcorder and phone and all that. And when you come back home and you think like, okay, like I finished my basic degree education, I want to get into cinema seriously. Everybody in my family became somebody else. It's like the kind of like the kind of power, the kind of the number of people would come from random places to come and tell you, you cannot do this. I didn't even know all those people existed, in my family. So all of them kind of turned against me, and you feel damn lonely. And then somewhere I think this is like revenge, like revenge, where of course I couldn't really do anything. Like I didn't really get into whatever the whole film school thing. But this is my in between kind of revenge where I decided that I'm going to do something in movies. Even if it's like becoming like a ticket collector in a theater, I would do something in the movies, and this is my compromise, or one of my second best that I managed with life. But my route is very traditional. I went to I studied journalism. Then my second job was in the Hindu. In the Hindu, I started writing about movies. Baddy was my boss, and then when Baddy shifted to Film Company, and I shifted to Film Company. It's very straightforward and.
Where can we watch the Vishal short films?
I'll send them to you. We made in 11th standard, me and my friends, we made a proper film, like a 1-hour film called Confessions of the Priest. But COP, like cop, as in because the hero's a cop and the bad guy is called the priest. And I wrote the film and all that. So in 11th standard, we made that film. So, but, all of us who made those films, all of us are people who wanted to get into movies. I'm the one who's closest. And all my other friends said like they're making underwear and things like that. Not even close. So
are they jealous of you?
So, like they called me. This guy is like he's not done anything movie related for 10 years, and then he called me like 2 weeks back, and he's like, dude, I have a story idea. I want to just listen. I wanted to just listen, and he's telling me this whole story. It's a very outdated story. Okay, like what a school 15 years back. Like, oh, there's a killer who kills people because of the smell of the wood. Like a years ago, and I'm like, dude, you missed the boat, bro. This is totally different kind of thing happening. But he's telling my wife the day after that the chat with Vishal made me so happy. I just want to talk about movies with somebody. So people feel that. People, they really miss it. Even my really successful friends who kind of didn't follow their passion or whatever, when they look at my life, they think, dude, Vishal's like the happy dude, the lucky Ranbir Kapoor, But it's not like that. Everybody's fucked up. So...
Also, there's a lot of trade-offs that you get with this life, right? A lot of those guys, if they're in the normal state, it's tough because when they say that you're living the dream, they're not wrong, so you should be grateful, but at the same time, you wish you could tell them that, yeah, but first of all, you're in journalism. Like, nothing great is happening.
Yeah.
Like, no big muck, like money is being made. And there's so much you get by doing the traditional thing also. So it's like, grass is always greener.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think for me also, like making a short film was the thing I realized, I could do that. Rahul, sir?
Rahul, yeah.
Yeah, Rahul, sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm calling him Rahul Safin today.
Yeah, no, my journey was a little accidental. First of all, I started writing, like, I wrote my first professional film review when I was almost 28. So I started really late in life, which is why I envy a lot of people who start like at 20, 21, you're people with already journalism degrees and then already working in big publications, which means you already have like a good 8 to 9 year head start. So I'm sure so for me, it's still like I'm still learning because first of all, I didn't go to like a journalism school. So sort of on the job, the kind of learning that keeps you occupied mentally, saying, okay, oh shit, I didn't know this about, writing, or I didn't know this about criticism. So for me, I'm still like a student trying to figure out his way, even right now, like after all these years. But again, like I went through the whole college route, dropped out of the whole MBA race. tried to work a job. I was a market analyst for exactly 3 weeks in 2008, 2007 actually. And it was in a big company, and I was at a desk like you see in the movies. And within 3 weeks, I was like, I went to my boss and told him, "Listen, my father is dying, so I need to quit tomorrow." So otherwise, he wouldn't have let me go. Like I didn't know how to say I want to quit. So and then my father, then I went home, and my father's like, "What if something actually happens now? How bad will you feel?" So I felt really guilty about that. But as soon as I did that, I started giving these entrance exams for film courses, one or two. I gave only one or two, and I got into XIC in 2008, which has a film and TV and video production course there. So I just wanted to like learn about the basics of filmmaking from there to figure out what I wanted to do. So I did that 1 year course. It's more or less a crash course. I wouldn't really recommend it, but what it did do is give me a sense that I might be cut out for writing. Maybe not so much for filmmaking, because I don't like people in general. So I don't like being around people. I don't like talking a lot. So because, and if you don't like all that, you cannot be a director. You cannot. It's not possible. So if you cannot be on the set, then what is the thing you can do? So it all was like trial and error for me. Like you cut out, like you're eliminating one profession after the other, and then I settled on writing. And then even the writing thing took another 4 years to figure out, because I was first, just trying my hand at, documentaries and research and script writing and stuff like that. I worked for a couple of filmmakers, small time filmmakers in Bombay. Try to, learn here and there, but you can't learn shit from anyone here, because, you just can't. They are not generous people. So yeah, once I realized that, okay, I need to start paying the bills and I need to figure out how to survive in Bombay. That's when the film reviewing thing happened by accident, because one of my friends was running a website and he had quit to become like a film critic elsewhere. So he got me into this blog where I started writing film reviews for free for 2 years or so. Like they didn't pay me. I was just doing it because I wanted to see how this whole reviewing ecosystem works. I used to get very excited when I used to get to go for free to for press shows, and I used to see Anupama Chopra, I used to see Rajiv Masand, and I was like, these are big people. Yeah, these people come on TV, and I've seen them like all my life on like our screens and all shit. If I ever reach there, it'll be amazing. So yeah, I mean that's how it started, and I guess over time it started accidentally, but over time, once I realized that I have no other choice and I need to be good at this, that's when you start really putting your mind to it. I don't know, for some reason I didn't think of a journalism course. It didn't never occur to me, because I did a TV and video production course, even though there was a journalism course in the same college. So I had no idea I wanted to be like in this field till I actually started doing it. So again, whenever I have to explain my journey to anyone, I say do not try this at home. It's not possible. Like it's very dangerous. You have no backup. So yeah, that was pretty much.
Suchin?
I think if Vishal's journey was like traditional, Rahul's was accidental. Mine is very cliched. Like it's very like textbook. But no, I was working in banking in London, and that's when again I was just watching a lot of movies. And at some point, I was headed where I used to like literally my commute to work was literally watching Anu on. First it was Front Row, and then after that is the early years of Film Companion. So that was like the big inspiration, and that I didn't even aspire to be a part of this world. It was just a big deal for me as a fan. And I remember I decided to start writing reviews for myself. And then at some point, me and my friend decided to start a blog. So we were just writing for that. And then over the next 1 year, while I was also working full time, I started reviewing, watching every release, reviewing. We started covering press conferences and stuff in London, like all the Hindi film stuff. And at some point, it actually became, I used to go to my job just to work on my website, write, all that kind of stuff. Like it was just, and I remember I called one of my friends who was interning at the Quint or something here. And I said, look, hypothetically, if I wanted to do this, how would I do it? She said, very simple. You quit your job, come here, start from scratch. I said, go screw yourself. But then like 6 months passed, and I was like, after a point, it becomes a thing you no longer cannot do. Like it's all you think about. So after I finished 2 years of banking, I took the decision. I still have no idea how, and I left that, and I didn't know people here. I had family and friends, but nothing more than that. And then I came here, and it is probably the dumbest or bravest thing, whatever you want to call it. But like Rahul said, I do not, I do not recommend it. And for the first year and a half, I was freelancing. So I was literally just reviewing stuff myself, writing for a few other bits. And on hindsight, it was a very important time for me just to understand how the industry worked, bylines, all that stuff. I remember, before I actually physically moved to Bombay, I was like talking to Rahul a lot. I wrote a couple of things for his website and just picking his brain a lot, just about, because I didn't have anyone who liked film. I didn't have any of that stuff. So that was a big deal for me. Then I came here, was freelancing. At that time, it was a very depressing time. I was like, I've screwed up my life. And it's exactly like Vishal said, where everyone around you becomes a different person. Your dad, literally, just, like he said, random people just come, relatives you haven't met for years, just come home to lecture you. And it just feels like shit. But on hindsight, it was a very important time. But at that time, I was just overthinking it. And then I did YCL, which is part of Mami. And then I got a job at Mami for a year. And then FC happened. And then now I'm here. So it just... and now I'm working for Anu. So that's... it's just... Sometimes I do think like you were on the... like on your commute to work watching FC stuff. And then now you're on the other side. So it's a cool pinch.
Yeah, someone else is watching you today on FC and you're like, oh... Nice.
Except there, nobody watching me is quitting their job from banking and moving to Bombay, but I take your point.
Sometimes I look back at my life and, it feels like a character in a movie, right? The whole arc, they are foreshadowing of what will happen. And I do sometimes see, oh yeah, I could see there were hints throughout the life which lead me to here. So do you guys think like that? Do you believe in destiny?
Bro, like all that is good if it's a happy ending. No? If it's generally shitty, then what art?
No, we know art movies, right? They don't need happy ending.
Open-ended.
Art movie.
I think you always romanticize it. In hindsight, I feel like you always romanticize it, right? Like I was never the writer. I'm trying my best to be one now and learn as much. But like you then think of all the times when you were a kid, you felt you were creative and you enjoyed that stuff, but it's always on hindsight. I don't know, sometimes maybe it was not destiny, but if this is your journey, it's cool to see that if you from 10 years ago could see you now. Like, as long as that kid is happy, like you feel like you're doing something right. If that person is like, great, this is exciting, then that's a win. But I don't know about destiny, because that just means that you can't screw up and like, you can.
No, so like, I want to ask you, this is a question I asked myself. So, Suchin from 10 years ago, would he be very happy with who he is now?
Oh, apart from my personality, his brain would explode. Like, his brain would legit explode. Like, insane. Like, in the sense that when you're a fan of the movies, you don't even have the capacity to think of, I want to work there. Or even when you're watching, like, FC interviews and, like, Mami stuff and following YCL, like, you don't even think of, I want to be part of this. You're just privileged to be a fan. So to be on the other side of it is insane. It's definitely not easy. And it's a lot of very tough stuff. But in terms of the work itself, like, yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Rahul?
Yeah, I don't know about destiny or anything. I don't try to romanticize the journey itself, because I think God knows we romanticize the movies enough every day. But like, I don't know. Obviously, there were signs and all. Like, but you're never, as Suchin said, you're too reverential of something to actually think that you can be part of it. If something is larger than life, like movies or like, Anu on TV, like, on the show she used to do, you don't actually think you can do that one day and all. And I always believe that even while you're doing something you love, like when we did get into film criticism or journalism down the line, a lot of people even ask me now that, how did you reach where you reached? First of all, you haven't reached anywhere. Just a way of asking. But like, when they asked that, I was like, the thing is, if you keep thinking while you're working that this is where I want to reach, this is who I want to be one day, which the movies teach you and wrongly teach you, that you need to have ambition. This is where I'm going to sit one day on a chair and give orders to people. Sure, it's all well and good on paper, but if you actually think you're going to do that, if you actually have a definite idea of what you want to be while you're doing it, you will never reach. Like, I had no idea that 10 years ago that I wanted to say, be a writer or like sort of do film criticism in the way I'm doing it right now. So like, even when, when you're asked that, like, it's a very surreal question, because I keep thinking that if I knew that there was a way to reach where I am right now, or where whatever stage that you're at right now, then would you actually reach that stage? No, I don't think so. Like, the whole thing is, my journey started accidentally. So I think because you take it day by day, because you want to actually get past a Friday and write a review that is readable, and that, people do not like really tear you apart and they do, like, they tear all of us apart in different weeks. So like, you get past week by week, and before you know it, those weeks have added up into something. and that something is what people look at from the outside, saying, oh shit, this is a body of work. I've never thought of it as a body of work till someone actually tells me that this is how much you've done, or this is what you've done, and I remember this, and this is where you are at right now. But you should never stop to think where you're at, because if you do, then you'll start realizing what went behind you. You'll start romanticizing that journey, and then you'll start thinking about what you want to achieve ahead of you, and then you'll make it too dry and clear cut, and then nothing will be left to chance. And if nothing is left to chance, then what is the point of writing, honestly? Like, what is the point of doing what we do? So I guess a lot of it is by chance, and I think every time we write, do a good job at our work, that is not because we want to reach somewhere, it's because we want to reach the next Monday most of the time. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But Rahul, one thing I want to ask you is, you said when you went for the press screening, Rajiv Masand, Anu, and it was like a big butterfly, like what's going on there? Like that's happened a lot. So I want to ask you, like, because you start off with you and the laptop in the movie, right? It is nothing matters more than you, your experience of the film, and putting it in words. So when you get out in the real world, go to the press screenings, and because that used to really mess with me for either like press screenings or even when I went to like film festival premieres, and everyone is just hyping that film, and you saw something completely different. And exactly like Vishal said, your instinct is so fragile. Like, did you have a tough time just holding on to like nothing else matters apart from my experience with the film? I don't care. It's just about this, and everything else can go to hell till I've written the review.
Yeah, because like the good thing about film criticism or the way our jobs are is that you get to watch a film more often than not before other people do, and with the other film critics, right? So you're watching it with an Anu or a Rajiv or like the rest of them, right? So because of that, you don't really know how the film is going to be perceived at that point, and nobody talks during those screenings. Okay, so when you go home, you're anyways alone. You can't second guess yourself. Like, you don't know how the discourse is going to be 2 days down the line. I think I just was talking to someone about it a couple of days ago, saying, how does it, like, is it difficult to be like different with your opinions, or is it difficult to like form your own opinion when you know the whole world is going in an opposite way? But the point is, you don't know the whole world is going in the opposite. On a Thursday, on a Wednesday, you don't know how a Bahubali is going to be received, and you do not know how a Bajrangi Bhaijaan is actually going to be a decent film. So, like, when you're actually writing, saying, oh, I enjoyed Bajrangi Bhaijaan, I think it's one of Salman's best films, I think this is the only Salman film you're actually speaking for yourself then. And then down the line, people say, oh shit, he was right about that film. Oh shit, he had a different opinion about Ek Mein or Ek Tu. But that is in hindsight. When you're actually doing it, you're in the same boat as the rest of them. You don't know you're going to be a contrarian. You don't know you're going to be different from them.
But a lot of those press screenings are, like, apart from Anu and Rajiv and like the series journalists, there are a lot of cartoons there as well. The talent comes. There's a lot of buzz around that. So even sometimes you feel, I wish I was watching it with a normal audience, so I could be left alone to just watch the movie rather than everybody just... So is it never distracting?
Yeah, I mean, it is distracting most of the time, but I think that's one of the job as a, right? Like, obviously, like, people hear of a press show audience from outside and think, oh shit, I'm fancy. Like, all these fancy film critics go and watch it and decide with a glass of whiskey in their hand, which is all rubbish, because the kind of people that actually come to watch it, at least 70% of the screening is people you have never heard of, people who have nothing to do with the profession, people who are relatives of journalists or of film people. So the actual audience is only 20 or 30%. And if you notice, a lot of film critics will want to sit separately, trying to escape like other film critics or other people in general, because they can hear how a film is being received, and you don't want to be part of that buzz, that certain discourse that's happening in live time. So you don't want to be part of that most, and I sort of got used to that. So like, anyways, by for some weird reason, very on, I was known to have different opinions. So I didn't have to really go against the grain or anything. It was just because over a period of time, once you get into a certain rhythm with these press shows, and now that there are no press shows, all the more it's actually even more vivid now, because you're actually watching it at the same time without all the noise around you.
Yeah.
Your opinions are the same, like, in the sense the same people are thinking the same thing, and you are thinking how you were expected to think 2 years ago, which is magical and bizarre at the same time. So it says a lot about how you perceive your own, or how much confidence you have in yourself, or your own opinions, or your formulation of a film.
Yeah. Sorry, no, I'll shut up now.
No, it's all right. Do any of you know how Rajiv sir is doing? I think he was
I've heard I've heard he's doing better. I heard 10 days ago, I heard he was out of ICU and he was
Okay.
better. I don't know exactly today, but he's supposed to be out of the scary zone if I'm not wrong.
I just want to quickly ask you guys, do we have time? Because like I'm just not even halfway through, and it's already an hour. So I'll remove some of the stuff because I think we have covered
I'm definitely
it
getting
in some
shouted
way.
at after this. Sorry.
Okay, I'll try to make it quick. Today, with social media, everyone can put out their opinions. They can create a YouTube channel and talk about movies, and everyone is like a film reviewer, critic today. So how do you look at it? Because it's not just it doesn't matter that more people are watching their work than what you guys are writing, but also because they're watching that, their awareness about what film criticism is or for a film review is only becoming that. So do you think that will indirectly impact what you are doing in coming years? Because you will be expected to do something which people come and watch, right? Because today is the day of clickbait and all of that stuff. So do you think in coming days it will affect your work because that is getting more traction?
I don't think so.
I
hope not. I hope not, because I mean, especially my job in FC is to. I'm the numbers. That's my thing, right? Like I need to monitor the numbers in film company. I need to see how stories are working, how stories, like what the stories are working. So it's not. Of course, if you compare like page views to YouTube views, and if you're saying that's a review and this is a review, then YouTube views are at some other level, right? Like page views will never match like 1 million, 2 million YouTube views that reviewers are getting. But the audience that we have who come to read a particular review or a particular person's review, that's like a loyalty program, right? Because you kind of you go to that person, and especially in FC and all that, we kind of really promote that in the this is Vishal's review, this is Rahul's review, this is Suchin's review. It's something FC accepts very, very openly. So the second you click that review, you kind of want to read that person's opinion. In cases where there are totally opposing opinions of the same film, right? So when it's something like that. And when it's this when there's a culture of people reading reviews, proper like 1,500 word reviews, so that culture, of course the numbers might of course fall, and it might, I don't know what it's going to be in the future, but that will stay, so that has a different kind of a value to it. But I mean, is that a question? I mean, I'm talking about the whole numbers thing, right? The future of
because see, if like 5 years back, right, if someone wants to read a review, they'll read, Anupama Chopra, Rajiv Masand, your reviews, and they got into understanding what film criticism is from that. But as the new generation, right, they are learning about it through YouTube videos, where you cannot say I'll not want to comment on what the content is, but that's what they think a film review is. How many stars, oh, this was great, that was great, good or bad, that's it. That's what they feel, and their limited knowledge going forward will be that, because that is more accessible to people, right? So do you think in future that will impact you, because you stay relevant, right, you will be forced to be like them, to dumb it down for them, because they are trained in that sense?
I think it also works like on the contrary. This is the usual new and old thing that every profession faces. It's not just journalism right now, and now more than ever, obviously, because of YouTube and because of podcasts and various avenues. And not to say one is lesser or one is more, because the audience that say watches a YouTube video, listens to a review is different, because they lead a certain kind of life that only allows them to do that. They're on their way to work, or they are coming back from work and watching the phone, right? Like so they can't afford to actually consume more stuff. They don't have enough time in that day to do that. But the people who read reviews won't do it, because as Vishal said, it's literally like a loyalty program. You want to read those reviews, you want to read the particular critic, you want to read text, after sort of watching movies, after like watching people all day, you sometimes just like to read. A lot of people are readers in this country too. So I feel like it also works the other way, right? Like the more the newer generation is conditioned to say embrace the new media sort of devices to like put their work out there, at the same time, I feel like I don't think a lot of us will, if we want to, that is, if we choose to, I don't think a lot of us will have to change what we do, because I think what we do will also then gain its own sort of space, because it's like an antique shop, right? If you see an antique shop in the middle of in the middle of like 10 high rises, you will find that antique shop charming. So like for me, text is that also. So for a lot of us, text is that. So suddenly people will come across text or like a written review or a written feature piece and all, and they'll be like, okay, that has its own charm at this point. It's like that whole, sort of Lucknow versus Gurgaon type of, to put it very like in a cinematic manner. That is the conflict we are facing most of the time. So that old school charm, the old world charm, I believe will always sort of have some kind of space, even as, a particular profession is moving into the future. Like there will always be space, because as easy as it is to imagine that we are moving into the space age and soon robots will do a job and shit like that, the point is that we are humans, and people will still want to read human things and sort of read what brains want to sort of write, or the person, if he puts himself in, or he or she puts himself in the review, that is what they'd want to do. And of course they'll go to YouTube for a different kind of sort of viewpoint, or a different kind of just consuming entertainment. But I feel like there'll always be relevance. It's up to the people who are how relevant they want it to be. So yeah, it is scary, but I also feel it helps a lot of us also adapt and raise our game at the same point, because I think a lot of us are doing things we wouldn't have done 5 years ago. I think some of us who are doing videos are writing, some of us who are writing are doing videos. We are obviously, trying our hand everywhere, which is a good thing. I feel like overall, if, you have more options in the future, it'll help you.
Yeah.
No, I'll give this one really short, I promise. No, but I was just going to say, so internet-wise, a lot of it is cool. As with anything on the internet, there are some really cool perspectives out there. Like you see those amazing video essays, that one podcast, and these are not necessarily professional journalists or whatever. But no, I think overall you do get a sense when you Google, latest movie review, and you see so much crap out there. You do feel like it dilutes it, that it is anyone can do it, and you can tell in 10 seconds if someone is taking their review seriously. So you do somehow feel like it does dilute what the average person thinks of film criticism. But having said that, I really don't know. I mean, like, we're in this world, we're all in the bubble. I have no idea what the average person thinks of reviews, or what they think they should be, or whether they're good or bad. Like my relationship is, my friends will ask me for recommendations, I'll give them some, they won't like it and think I suck. That's the extent of it. I have no idea what people think of that. But even if everyone is doing something, I think that just increases the value of a Rahul review or a Vishal review, because you can tell in 10 seconds. You feel it when you're reading it, the insight, the knowledge, that the value of that just goes up over time if everybody else is offering sort of something. And you just sort of know immediately.
Now, talking about video and writing, all three of you started writing and then you went into video, right? So I want to know, what's the difference for you, especially because of course you're writing for the video also.
I'm awkward, man. Yeah. I'm comfortable with these kind of things, but I cannot. Like, I'm not a video guy. You feel it, right? You feel. I'm not saying I feel like I'm a definite writer guy. I'm not feeling that also, but definitely when it comes to videos, it's like, I feel like I'm only thinking about, oh shit, like, I'm thinking about people. I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. I'm only thinking about shit. Like, am I making a fool of this person will laugh at me? Don't have respect for me because I'm so awkward in front of the camera. So videos, I mean, I'm very comfortable with Clubhouse, I feel, because it's just me talking, and I mean, I don't know, I can sit however I want, do whatever I want and just talk. So, but videos are just not my thing. So I did it because I had to, but it's not that. Some people are much better at it, right? Even video interviews and all that. See, I like to think that I've done a few good interviews in my life, but they're all written interviews, because that's how I am. My style is not conducive for videos. My style is to go talk to them for half an hour about random shit, to kind of create like a level of trust in them so that they can open up. Tell me all the things that happen after the obvious first 30 minutes. But the second I'm on video, I've got so many questions, and I'm expecting them to do exactly what other people are trying to do. So I'm just not meant for that. Especially when it's writing, in terms of writing like things that I get time to write. I don't know, like I need to read certain sentences 30 times, 40 times, 50 times, and then realize I'm going to be unhappy no matter what, and then move on to the next sentence. So that's how I operate. So I need that comfort. With videos, I don't. I don't have that freedom. I'm gonna, after this is over, I'm gonna be thinking. I'm gonna be asking myself, but what all shit did I say? Like, did I say stuff that I shouldn't have said? That's just how I am. So I'm not meant for video.
I think I'm meant for Twitter. There's less space to screw up.
Nobody's meant for Twitter.
But no undo, huh?
Everybody's miserable on Twitter.
What about you, Rahul?
I don't do videos, so I really can't answer that question. And I hope to go through an entire career without doing videos, because if Vishal thinks he's bad at video, you should see me. So it's just that personality is just like, it's not. Like, the whole thing is, I write because I can't speak. And I can't speak. I'm not good at speaking. Like, I can't find the right words. I can't find the right phrases. I talk shit sometimes. I go all over the point, and
so relatable.
Yeah, so I think most of us are writers because we express. That's the best way to express us. And again, as you said, every sentence takes a lot to construct. Like, it's not like it comes over in 2 seconds to you, saying, "Oh, ho gaya." This because I'm not speaking, writing is happening magically. The amount of shit we have to go through just to get the grammar right in a sentence, or to like get a thought like flowing into the next thought is so difficult. And I keep thinking, oh shit, I should be reading more. This would be easier. But then at the same time, I think that if I was reading more, then I wouldn't work this hard to write so well. So I keep having that battle in my head, and also I don't do videos because it's obvious. I can't do that. I think Suchin would be a good person to answer.
As in, I feel like I'm too in it right now to have any sort of valuable perspective. I really struggled as in with writing, as in I still don't consider myself a writer. I think I can write to some degree. When you're Vishal, Rahul, Pratyush, scale, you're like, okay, that is a writer. That is, but it's great to be around them because you really feel like you sort of learn a lot. With video, it is very weird. Exactly like Vishal said, it's hard to tune out the noise, because on the one hand, you are interviewing or talking or reviewing X thing, and you're doing it because you care about X thing. But then there is also how you're coming across. There's just so much unnecessary stuff which really does mess with your head. What I try and do as the intent with video is you just try and focus on the thing. It's rare and it won't always happen, but you just try. Like, if you're talking to an actor, you just try and focus on the conversation, the fact that you're genuinely engaged in their work. When you're reviewing on camera, which I haven't done that much, but the point is you just talk about the thing that you care about. When you're doing an Insta Live, you try and ignore the stupid numbers in the comments, and I'm video calling someone whose work I'm hopefully genuinely engaging with, and you're just trying to be in the moment. As to the writing video thing, it is interesting because when I started doing video, it's less now. I literally used to do it as a writer. I don't know, like I used to literally write a script. So I used to write the exact questions, and then it's up for Suchin, the video guy, to try and see if he can live up to the writer guy. Like, you've literally almost designed a conversation. You've written questions exactly as you want them to go. Now let's see if you can pull it off. But then sometimes I also do things with reviews a bit. I do think video has helped my writing a little bit, because when you're writing, it's too easy to not be pretentious. But sometimes you really get drawn into the things you feel like you should say, or the way you feel like you should say them. But with video, because there is a bit more of that casual thing, and you're forced to then write things that you like you would say them out loud. And and anyone will tell you that's the best tip for writing. Just read the whole thing out and you'll see what stands out. And when you sort of write with that in your head, it makes it more honest or clear in some way. So I think the way the two interact is quite interesting. But I still don't know which one. I'm too in it to know if I'm good or if I'm equally. Yeah. I'm just trying my best.
I feel that video is simpler because, when you write, right, you have put it out, and now somehow someone reads it. It's, it depends on them. And it depends on how good you are a writer, that you can, convey it 100%, that they don't think anything else. They think what you're trying to say, right? But in a video, after writing it out, I'm like, how I say it, where I take the pause, what facial expression I make. I can add to, and they just have to, okay, I got this, There's no interpretations, zero interpretations.
My guess, I definitely disagree with you. I'm guessing these guys will as well. Like, when you're writing something, you are completely in control. It's like, even when you're writing or fighting with someone, when you're writing, like, you are in control of exactly what you're saying, how you're saying it. When you have to say it verbally, exactly like Vishal said, you're going to overthink it later. That is you with yourself. You have time to construct it. It is the best way you can say something. But again, even with your words, like, it's always like, did I? Yeah, sometimes I feel like it's the opposite. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I feel like it's script writing and acting, right? Like, there's a way a performer has to like perform the words that's written on script, and people say that scripts are normally elevated by actors on screen or by performers on screen and stuff like that. But then it's up to the performer to sort of really interpret what the script is trying to say. I also don't mind that people don't sometimes, like, I may be in the minority. I don't mind that people don't understand a particular sentence or a paragraph that I want, the way I want them to understand it. In fact, if they interpret it in another way, I'm open to that also. Like, I like it if people take their own meanings out of it, because then that makes what you do also a different kind of art also, right? Like, then people are trying to understand, and it happens sometimes. People say, "Oh shit, the way you said." The way you wrote that in that review, I completely agree with that. In my head, it's like, I did not write that actually. I did not mean. But okay, due to some error of translation or some fateful sort of almost misfortune, they understood it in the way that maybe I couldn't have written it in. So that happens sometimes, and you have to be open to that. Like that depends on how good or how bad a writer you are, or what you want to convey sometimes with your words. So.
Yeah, I remember, in the beginning I was so, again, as Rahul said, right, I stumble, I cannot, what I'm thinking in my head, it's not coming out the same way. So I have to literally write sentences and, look at that, read it, then, look at the second line, read it and edit it that way. And now, it's become more easier. So I think that maybe that's the, experience, and as you do it more, it becomes better. Next thing I want to ask, do you get tired of movies? Tired of watching movies? Does it happen?
Dude, I'm absolutely sick of movies right now. Like, I've completely put to love, like, I just hate it. It's like we need to take a break kind of phase.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, somehow I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I've been like, I haven't finished a single series. Other than the movies I need to watch to review, I haven't watched anything. And I have no excitement to watch anything. I haven't watched Share Me. I haven't watched Luca. I really started Luca thinking, dude, it's like easy peasy. It's definitely like a movie I'm going to finish watching. But I have nothing in me to even watch Luca. So I just need to take a break. I just want to put my brain into like a washing machine, just wash it and just put it back. So
How long have you felt like that?
Maybe 2-3 weeks.
So it's like relatively new.
Yeah, because I remember thinking I was on a damn good streak, of like finishing all the DVDs that I needed to kind of finish, because anyway my home theater stopped working, so it's just a waste of space and it's just the DVD player, so I want to get rid of that as well. So before that, I had about 45 films to kind of finish watching, because I have
the great feeling.
Yeah, so I just finished that, and after that, this 2-3 weeks, don't want to watch anything. Now I'm watching the Kominsky method, but I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever, it's just happening. And I know it's like damn good stuff, but I just somehow just finishing it.
I asked that question because, it's like someone wants to take off time from their work, they watch movies, right? And for us, like, if we want to take off time, what to do, and that too in the pandemic, that there's nothing else to do more than that, right? And now, it's like if why you write, right? Why you make videos? You want to put your voice out about that film, right? You want to share it with the world. And every time you watch something, your mind is constantly, oh, that thing, oh, this thing, oh, that thing. I'm like, stop.
Sometimes
I just want to watch movies.
Sometimes you want to share it with the world. Certain films you do, others you have to. Like, it's the...
Yeah, but the point is that, because I think Rahul sir, you went to sentence, right? And it's like, you're watching all the movies and they're so dense, there's so much to talk about, and you have to put out the reviews, right? Constantly. That's your work, there's nothing else. Like, how do you do that? Like, sometimes do you feel like, I just want to watch a movie for myself, and it doesn't happen because you have been training for years to know, I have to, find out the thing in that and write it out, and, like, my review should matter, my voice should matter, because, I'm thinking about these things.
Yeah.
I asked Rahul that exact question. It was for a press screening 2 years. I can't remember when it was. It was about, is there a difference when you're watching a movie as an audience versus reviewing? I remember asking that exact question of like, does it change something in your head? It changes how you view.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I'm very sick of watching movies right now. Same as Vishal. Like, I think I've needed a break for the last 2 months or so, and I'm on autopilot right now. Like, for me, to finish Luca took 4 hours. It's a 1.5 hour movie.
Oh, shit.
So, but I forced myself to finish it because I was like, yeah, like I was not finishing anything. So it's difficult. Like everyone goes through these phases. More so with the pandemic and all, it's tough. Like, but if to answer your question about like, wanting to just watch stuff for the heck of it, and then your movie critic brain coming on, like, or having to see. The thing is, I think all of us will agree that when we put something out there, it has to be to be solid. Okay,
Yeah.
it cannot be half-assed. It cannot be that, I got bored while watching it, so I'm going to get bored while writing. I won't put too much effort into writing it. I don't think any of us have the choice to do that by personality. Like, you can't do that. So you have to be careful about then what you put out something, especially in festivals. Like, Baddy would be a great guy to answer about festivals because he's gone to a bunch of them. But like from one or two like foreign festivals that I've gone through, I can tell you that when you're there, like, first of all, there are so many things you want to do there. And then you realize that you have to actually review films. I mean, it's not my first priority there. The thing is, like, then when you decide to sit down and review a film, you'll be like, oh shit, now I can't do it only in half an hour or 1 hour. It's not possible. You have to spend half of the night doing it. So I tend to then be very selective about what I'm writing about there. There are times when I've sometimes written about films that I might find easy to write because, like, you cannot write about everything you watch, at festivals and all. But you need to write about stuff that, that cannot be substandard at the same time. So I feel like that pressure weighs down on you after a while. Like, it's human to, like, not have anything to do sometimes when your own profession is doing that. Like, last 3 months I was watching Mad Men and I only finished it like 3 days ago to watch it, and I was watching it during my meals. So then it became, in the nights and stuff like that. So I'm at a very distracted stage right now myself. Like, I'm not, you wouldn't ever say you're not in love with the movie watching, with movies, but sometimes you can fall out of love with movie watching, so to say, because like it does take a toll on you, and you should allow yourself to like be a little fragile, especially in this last 6 months or so. And, and tomorrow, that's why I'm traveling. I'm going back home to my hometown and I've not booked a return ticket because I need a change of scene. Maybe I might feel like watching movies better there because my father is there. Logical mindset might be like, okay, he likes watching it, I might like watching it. Here, nobody likes watching it. I'm alone. So I guess you're trying different things now to just keep afloat.
It's like, I think what Suchin said, right? The difference between watching it as a critic and watching it as an audience. But my question is, can you even watch as an audience? Because I don't think I can watch it anymore like an audience. Because my brain doesn't stop thinking about, how I can, say that, what's that, how to break it down and all of that.
I mean, a critic is an audience also, right? Like,
yeah, but I'm talking about before you ever wrote a review, right?
I don't remember how I used to be watching films then because I was also an idiot then. We used to go watch films for like various reasons and whatever. And sure, we never used to think about films like that. But the whole point is now that you do think about films like this, how to derive enjoyment from it by having this brain, right? Like, despite always trying to sort of. But I don't see like when I know I'm not going to review a film, I'm still watching it with less pressure. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Like when I'm watching, like I'm putting on a Halston tomorrow and I know I don't have to review it. I'm watching it for my own pleasure, and I know I don't have a deadline. I know I don't have to take notes.
Yeah.
So sometimes, just watch it with a freer mind. But it also so happens that sometimes, like an idiot, I put it on Twitter, and then Moini messages me saying, "Acha, you want to review it or what?" And then I realized I've not taken notes, and I was watching it for my pleasure, and I was like, "Oh shit, I have to review it as an audience." I remember nothing. That happens many times. That is also a different kind of writing. Like that also is freer in a way because you're not like constraining yourself to these parameters you made on paper or in your head. And suddenly you're like, oh shit, this is how I used to watch movies earlier. That happens to me like every now and then. But I've stopped tweeting about shit I just watch for fun.
We've all done things like that. You learned the hard way of where to and how it comes back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
Are you watching always for work or for yourself? That's another thing that I find very weird, that like, you have to watch this to review it or whatever. This is for work. Then there's also that big release which you might not be reviewing. You're doing it either because you want to. You might not be reviewing Family Man, but either because you want to or you feel the pressure like you have to. Or at the same time, sometimes you're watching stuff for fun, like a madman, like Rahul was saying. And then because you love it as an audience, it'll become work somewhere down the line. So even as an audience, it's very weird. When I'm thinking, what is the pressure to watch these 6 things every week? Is it part of it is work, part of it is I want to, or I feel like I have to? That line gets very blurred very fast.
Yeah. Also one thing, I started watching movies, the classics very late in my life. Well, I think 2-3 years back only. So there's so many movies I have not watched. If I ask you all 10 classics you recommend, I'm sure I've not seen any of them. So do you think that fear or whatever you want to call it, that you'll never able to watch all of them? I because for me, like when
No chance.
because when
It's
a movie
chronic. You'll never ever get on top of that list unless you have Vishal's 45 DVDs.
because I'm if like I'm reviewing movies, a Hollywood movie, a Bollywood, from all the languages each week. So every time I make a review, oh, I've not seen that also. Okay, I've not seen that also. No classics of Malayalam, no classics of Tamil, no classics of Hollywood. I'm lost. I feel like, oh, what am I doing now? Is like, that existential crisis kind of a thing. So is that something familiar?
I think it's chronic. It never goes away. You're never going to have enough film knowledge. I don't know many other jobs where you literally be like, the only thing you know is you're never going to know enough ever.
Yeah.
And it upsets me also. It's like earlier I used to be reasonably comfortable with it, but now on Twitter, when someone talks about a director like whose entire filmography you have no clue about,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what the fuck have I done with my life? How can I call myself a critic if I don't know an entire director?
Yeah.
I don't even know which language. So when all that happens, it's like I get really disturbed and I get mind fucked. But then, I mean, especially like I see how Baddy works. I mean, I work with Baddy very closely, right? But when somebody goes and speaks to him about a certain film, I see how comfortable he is with saying, "No, I haven't watched it. No, how is it? Okay,
Wow.
so, like that gave me a lot of comfort because that's how it is. Because especially in my case, because I'm expected to know Malayalam, Tamil, and like at least English almost entirely and all that. It's like I don't know where to start. It's too difficult, and I just want to make peace with the fact that okay, I'm not going to be the guy who's watched every movie.
But it's also like Vishal said, you get a lot of comfort with other critics, like Paddy saying that I haven't watched that. I mean, I've sometimes like if Rahul and Anu are talking, even if you hear terms like I didn't get it or I didn't, and you're like, I didn't know we're allowed to say that, and it just suddenly makes you feel better that you're allowed to not get it. You're a human, like it's okay. You can't be and. Again, you will never be the person who's seen the most movies. You'll never be the person who has the most knowledge. All you can do is for that thing that you're reviewing, you can put your life and soul into it. Also, I think the pandemic has helped because there's never been more stuff. Like this wasn't true 18 months ago. It's true today. It is now harder than ever for the three of us to all be on the same page of having seen everything. There's a Ray, there's a Family Man, there's a Dhanush film, there's the Hollywood thing. It is physically impossible that everyone's on a different.
Yeah.
And so at that point, what do you do? Between Netflix and World Cinema and Oscars, you're literally just choosing and taking it a day at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you literally have to choose what you're going to be a specialist at right now.
Yeah.
You cannot do everything. It's not possible. Sure, like you're reviewing you'll be reviewing a certain section of films, either Bollywood or South or Hollywood or whatever it is for that matter. But then what I watch for leisure then changes, right? Like because I'm reviewing Bollywood, I'm watching a Malayalam film or something for my leisure, but Vishal is actually reviewing that. So it's impossible to really catch up. What you can try to do is just like keep an eye out as to what your contemporaries are writing or watching, so that then you're not too out of the loop. Like I'll see what Baddy and Vishal are reviewing, so that I don't have absolutely zero knowledge of what's happening, south of Bombay. Because it's so natural for us to do that. And it's so natural for us to just go into this tunnel vision sort of thing and not watch films from anywhere, which is fine, but I've sort of gone the opposite. Like I used to be worried about this 10 years ago, saying shit, I haven't watched anything. But now I'm fine with it because I know for a fact that there are people half my age who watch more than I. And I'm not even kidding about this. Like 100%. They can name shit that like on quizzes, on like there's shit that I don't know about. Like that's when you're actually pulled back down to earth and saying that okay, but there's nothing wrong with that. What matters is how you look at something to someone else, or how you look at a particular film. It's not how much you watch. How much you watch will derive how you look at things eventually. But then it's up to you as to how you sort of really make sense of something in your head. So sure, you'll get FOMO all the time, and it's good to be ashamed of yourself. It means you're healthily thinking of like films and all. But yeah, after a while, I've just given up. Like, I think I watched my first Ray film 2 years ago. What do you do? Like,
Yeah.
you were just...
That's your headline.
Yeah, you just weren't there. Like, I watched Godfather only 10 years ago, first time.
Yeah.
So, so that's how it is.
Okay, that has relieved me a
And
lot.
I've really come across people. Like, I mean, it's like whatever. We've also grown up watching films, but I've really met people who watch like Kieslowski films and all with their parents at 8th standard, 9th standard.
Yeah.
So how do you compete with that? There are people who have that kind of culture at home, who kind of growing masters and who know how to read like Bergman before then the 10th standard. So like, what do you do? Like, good for them.
Now
we have somebody who works for us at FC called Sahir, and I remember I bumped into him at a film workshop like 4 years ago before I ever knew him, and there he spoke about how he used to do Ray movie marathons, like literally, and I'm like, at that point you're never going to ever, you can't, and that's like Vishal said, you can't compete with that. So it's the perspective you bring, it's your relationship.
Like an intern who's working with us, he finished every Scorsese movie in 1 week.
Oh.
Every Scorsese movie. Like, I'm like, how does that happen? He got one of those box sets or whatever, and he just finished it. And I believe him. That's the thing. It's not like if he was happy, I feel much more happy. I trust that he did.
They have youth and they have time.
As part of myself, I finished Game of Thrones in a week. So now that's nothing.
I've not watched a frame of that show, so you can imagine.
Yeah, me too. I've kept it for like a disease.
For my old age.
Jaundice.
Next week.
So I had a lot of existential questions, but I think we should not go into them. Moving on. Last few questions. For you, what is a good film versus a great film? What is the definition for you? Or is there a definition? Like, can you define it? I don't like, man, when you guys take pause. I'm like, shit.
Then don't ask questions like that.
You ask
I'm worried. Am I asked a dumb question?
The thing is, sometimes simple questions also seem very deep because, you've not thought about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what is a good film versus a great film? There are two adjectives here in this sentence, and they can mean different things to different people, is all I'm going to say.
No, but for you personally, I would.
Personally only, I'm saying, like, for me, what is a great film? I not liked a lot of classics. Does that make them not great films? No. I'm sure they were greats in their own way because, they were portraits of a particular generation or reflections of a particular generation. But it's down to your opinion or your relationship with the film. Like, I can't even stress this enough because right now, like, when you watch greats or classics of the 70s or 60s, 5 decades behind to get, out of context. So you're not going to look at those films the same way a lot of people did over the last 50 years. So you have to, like, anyways, sort of just excuse yourself from that sort of headspace and conversation. And, like, there are a lot of, like, I don't know, like, I don't think in terms of good and great films. I think in terms of how much I loved something or how much I did not like something. Now, that does not make the film good or great, but for me, in my life, sure, if I can convince people that this is a good film, then that is my definition of a good film.
This reminds me of I saw an interview with Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel where they talked about this, and they had an interesting definition where it wasn't that specific, but Gene Siskel said that for him to think a movie is great, he has to like all of it quite a lot, and for Roger Ebert to love a film, he has to like part of it a lot. So I thought that was at least something that worked for them.
Yeah.
But also, I think the problem with this question is it also comes down to, which is that I think a lot of the reason people don't understand film criticism is, what is objectivity? Can you be objective? When people say, is it just your personal reception to a film, or can you objectively argue that this film has all its basics in place? That's why when they say give an honest, unbiased review and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something like, I don't know. Can you be objective? Can you say this film is objectively good, or is it just my personal response? Or if a lot of people really liked it, then it's great. I don't know if you can tangibly measure that, or it literally is art and everyone has their own reaction.
Vishal sir?
If you ask me about this, especially now, I think it's very easy for a film to be a good film because there are so many rules, there's so many things that's happening generally, like especially on social media. Let me not say it's the world and all that, but the kind of important cinema is given right now on social media, importance cinema is supposed to have on society, it's very easy for a film to be a good movie because there's so many things that it can do to be a good movie. But I think a film that you feel is great, right, is beyond this. Is it a movie that you are expecting it to be great? It's something beyond that. It's beyond parameters of the present time and what people are going to think about it. It's something that's about that. So eventually, a great film is something that you're going to be fighting for, even though you're not really sure. It's going to take you to a really confusing place where you don't know. There's so much at risk for you to have a wrong opinion right now. That's, I think, what great movie is. Because really, to be a good movie right now is very, very easy. There aren't many good movies, I agree. But then the effort to become a good movie is very, very, very easy. You can fake that. But to become a great movie is, I think, become way more tougher. Because it's beyond what it does right. It's more complicated than that.
Yeah. Okay. I had a question about our superhero movies cinema, but I think we should not go in that. We are 2 hours again.
No, Rahul loves this question. We should really go.
Did you grow up with superhero movies? Did you grow up with? Are you able to get the whole MCU DC hype?
For me, I mean, I grew up with superhero movies, which is why I don't get the MCU DCU hype.
That's a good answer.
So yeah, I mean, I was a big superhero fan till Marvel made it or DC or whatever it is, made it like a thing, like it used to be. My favorite films used to be all superhero films when I was growing up.
But I'm just not getting that. I feel like I'm too old for this whole MCU because I watched Avengers and the first Iron Man exactly when I'm watching.
And I liked it also.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, but somehow now it's something else. It's become. I just cannot keep track of it. This is too many superheroes. So
it is getting. No, it is. I mean, if you just look at the proportion of the industry, how many of the big films, how many are getting made, how much is at Marvel, how many, it is a lot. Even for fans to keep track of is insane. And either you think of it as amazing storytelling planning or just capitalizing as much as possible. But yeah, just keeping track of it is getting longer and more tiring every day.
Yeah. I think surprisingly for me, I got into it very late. It was, I think the second Avengers film was my first Marvel film I watched in theaters. And I think just before a year, I, caught up and everything because, the peer pressure or something like that. But I'm a fan. Anyways, moving on. The last thing I want to ask, young people who want to, be at your place, what you're doing today. So what would your advice to them would be?
Run away. Run in the opposite direction. Do something. Invest in stocks. I don't know.
Get Bitcoin.
We're not giving you financial advice here. Please don't listen to us.
Nah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel
I shouldn't answer this. I have no answer for this.
I think we've been answering this throughout the podcast, right? In a way, right from the beginning, we've been answering this. I'm don't aim for it. You might just get it. If you know what you want, then I don't think you know what you want. It's just simple.
Yeah.
Because you really don't, you're not leaving anything to chance. Sure, I'm very happy with what I have right now, but I'll be lying if I said that I was aiming for this. No way. There is no way. So yeah, don't kid yourself and just take one day at a time and you'll be shocked in say 3 years or 4 years. If you really take one day at a time, one Friday at a time, one Sunday at a time, and just try to get past every week, suddenly you are sitting in your room and writing shit. But suddenly the way people look at you is going to change.
Yeah.
It should not ever really affect what you're doing. Once you start realizing that what I'm doing is something it's amounting to something, that's when you've lost the battle. So I feel as long as you go back every Wednesday thinking that I've forgotten how to write, you're on the right path.
Yeah.
I just say, first of all, assuming you're saying make this your profession, be bloody sure because, you really can't. I mean, I got a message randomly recently on Instagram which really pissed me off where some guy said, I really want to do what you guys do at Film Companion where you just watch a couple of movies in a day and you chill for the rest of it. How do I get paid for it? And I was like, well, I wish I could punch you through the screen. But as in the sense that people don't realize how much work goes into it. People don't realize that the one thing you actually have very little time for is watching movies, which is insane. Yeah. But no, I'd say just be sure that you, because there is a very big risk you're taking by making your passion your profession. Also, it's never been easier to pursue this if it's something you love without putting your ass on the line. It's never been easier to starting your own blog. People are doing their own newsletters. There are people who freelance for publications and things, but they're not, quitting their jobs. So it's never been, easier to do that. And sometimes you just feel like half the battle, people who really purely love this and want to do it, they do so much of the work automatically. They will already start reviewing for themselves without somebody telling them to. They're already following stuff and watching stuff. It comes to them automatically. If somebody's looking for a checklist of what are the things I have to do, then I'd already question whether, are you sure you're up for sort of the stamina and the abuse from your dad? I don't know.
Yeah. Money is like really serious. I'm really not joking about the money, because that will like play a part. When you become, especially when you become 30 and your friends are buying apartments and all that, you're like, dude, what the fuck? So it's not just about that, but see, I like, people should get into this only if they love movies. They shouldn't think about this as you're the influencers there, but this is how I want to become an influencer through movies. That's just not how you're gonna you're not. That's not the correct way to do it. You can do that with everything else. You can do that with products and whatever, like cars or like makeup or cooking or whatever. But this is not like that. This involves a lot of like a lot of everything. Eventually you'll realize that there's only so much you can learn, or only so many movies that you watch. So you're gonna reach a point where you're putting a lot of yourself out there, and you'll reach a point where it's actually a tamasha too, because you're following your passion, but passion takes over everything else. Passion becomes, have that comfort of demarcating life and work. So if you feel like you have a government job, or if you're in a bank, you might hate your job, but then you have that privilege of demarcating that with life and thinking, I'm a good human being, I live a happy life. So what if I hate my job? But when you take the plunge, when you get into this space, you're like, oh, I'm following my passion. Everybody thinks I'm living my dream. So if a story doesn't work out, or somebody criticizes your work, you feel I'm a failure in life. So that's a damn complicated kind of tamasha that you don't want to live. So you have to kind of be ready for all that, and how easily people criticize you on social media, and the kind of power that they have, because you're fundamentally sensitive, right? You're fundamentally sensitive. That's why you're in this job. And to be thick-skinned on social media and sensitive while you're watching movies, it's not going to happen. It's going to overlap, and you're going to get mind-fucked. You're going to get screwed. So it's only that love for that movies that will kind of keep you going. If you enter thinking, oh, I've got 15,000 followers on Twitter, I'm happy and all that, it's not the case. It sucks.
Also, loving movies.
Please do something else.
I was going to say, loving movies isn't always enough. I think a lot of people, they forget the writing part. Like, a lot of people they really love movies, and they feel like, I remember Baddy used to say this at YCL, to be a film critic, it's you have to love movies, you have to love writing, and most of all, you have to love writing about movies. I mean, I think people forget that, they love this thing and they get carried away, but there is a lot else that goes into that skill as well.
Yeah. When I got the idea of doing this podcast with you all, this is what I wanted to, tell people, that what goes behind the scenes. They only see us, doing it, and people, watching us and all that thing, but they don't see what's happening behind. And I think hopefully this helps out to them. And yeah, just last two quick things. Is there any genre in movies or shows that you're looking forward to explore which you haven't yet? Maybe to freshen up things? Or have you explored everything?
Something that you haven't watched much of in the
maybe past. Like anime, maybe like Japanese movies, Korean movies. Anything?
Completely blank. I have no idea. Anime and all that, manga, anime, although that entire thing, like even as a kid, I've never really gotten into it. I've never gotten into Dragon Ball Z. I didn't even get into the basics like Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z. I didn't even get in there, So, but I
don't think I ever got out of it.
That excited.
It's like anytime you plan to, maybe explore.
No, I was saying that like hundreds of people in the last 1 year have been suddenly trying to get me to watch Korean dramas, Korean television for some.
That's the new hype.
KK dramas or whatever, and
yeah.
The more people force me, the more I'm resisting.
Yeah.
I'm getting really like bitter about this shit, and I was like, if I was going to discover it, I might have by now. But you guys are really like pushing it so much, going to like go the other way and watch it 10 years down the line when nobody's watching K-drama. It's becoming that. And honestly, I don't watch stuff to get into a particular genre. I just watch it because suddenly a horror movie is looking interesting, or
Yeah.
suddenly a sci-fi movie is looking, suddenly hero movie is looking interesting. But anything else, yes.
By that
Yeah.
logic, we should all be telling Rahul not to watch superhero films, and then he'll just come back.
Yeah,
Never
you
watch
never know.
anime. Never, ever. So I just want to thank you all for your generous time, and it was great talking to you all. So much insight, and it personally helped me a lot, and I hope it helped people watching this also. It was a great time. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it's a
Thanks for-
damn good counseling
Thanks.
session. It didn't even cost any money.
I was going to say, forget
Paid some money.
people
Well
watching
done.
it. It's group therapy.
Yeah,
That is,
I hope you had a good time.
yeah. Thank you for listening.
Of course,
yeah, exactly.
always. So thank you guys. Thank you for your
Take
time.
care.
Thanks. Bye.
See ya.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
So guys, that was the session. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, do hit the like button, share the video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, check out the videos. If you like them too, do consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Stay home, stay safe.